There are people who can walk into absolute chaos, a crisis, a breakdown, a room full of panic, and somehow become the calmest person there. They don't freeze. They don't panic. They move. And everyone thinks, God, I wish I were more like that. But psychology says something much darker. Sometimes the person who knows how to fix everything didn't become calm because they were strong. They became calm because, as a child, falling apart was not allowed. Their gift was not born from peace. It was built inside chaos. And once you understand that, you will never look at a strong person the same way again. My name is Philex, and I spend probably too much time thinking about why people feel, react, and protect themselves in ways that even they don't fully understand. If you're the person everyone calls when things fall apart, if you're the one who holds it together while quietly coming undone, subscribe and like this video if it helps you finally see what's going on beneath the surface. Picture this. Family gathering. Something goes wrong. Relatives start arguing. Something burns. A child starts crying. The energy shifts. And before anyone else has even registered what's happening, you're already moving. You're in the kitchen. You're mediating. You're making the joke that breaks the tension. You're the one who just handles it. And afterward, someone says, "What would we do without you?" And you smile. You say it's nothing. But here's what's actually happening inside your body in that moment. Your heart has been beating faster since you walked through the door. You scanned the room before you even took your coat off. You noticed the tension before a single word was spoken. You already had 3 contingency plans running quietly in the background. That's not a gift. That's a nervous system that learned, very early, very painfully, that staying alert keeps you safe. Here's what most people don't understand about someone who always knows how to fix things. They're not calm because life has been easy. They're calm because they were never allowed to fall apart. There's a difference, and that difference is everything. The world looks at these people and sees strength, sees leadership, sees someone who was just built different. But psychology sees something else entirely. It sees a child who figured out, somewhere around age 7 or 8 or 9, maybe earlier, that the adults in the room needed managing, that the atmosphere at home was something they had to monitor, that if they stayed useful, stayed capable, stayed one step ahead of the next disaster, things would be safer. Not safe. Safer. That's what this is really about. Not competence. Controlled fear. There's a term for this in psychology, the parentified child. This is a child who was placed, not always intentionally, sometimes just by circumstance, in the role of emotional stabilizer. Maybe a parent was struggling. Maybe the household was unpredictable. Maybe conflict was constant, or money was tight, or one parent was emotionally checked out, and someone had to hold the energy of the home together. And a child, a smart, sensitive, deeply observant child, runs an experiment. Unconsciously, quietly. If I fix this, does the yelling stop? If I stay calm, does the parent calm down? If I solve this problem, am I safe? And the answer, often enough, is yes. So the nervous system writes that down in permanent ink. Competence equals safety. Being useful equals being loved. Staying in control means nothing terrible happens. That child grows up, but that equation doesn't go anywhere. 20, 30 years later, that same person is in a meeting or a relationship or a family of their own. And the second tension enters the room, the old circuit activates like a reflex. Fix it. Solve it. Be useful. Be needed. Stay safe. They don't experience it as anxiety. They experience it as who they are. But here's the brutal truth. It's not who they are. It's who they had to become. Some people don't help because they're generous. They help because being needed is the only time they feel safe. Read that again, slowly. Because this is the part that most psychology videos skip over, the part that's harder to say, harder to hear. The person who fixes everything often doesn't know how to exist in a relationship where they're not necessary. Not because they're manipulative, not because they're broken, but because somewhere deep in the architecture of how they learn to connect with other people, usefulness and love got wired together so tightly that they cannot tell them apart. If they're not helping you, they don't know what they're doing there. If they're not solving something, they start to feel invisible. If they're not needed, they wonder, quietly, whether you'd stay. And this is the thing that wrecks me every time I say it out loud. The child who learns to fix everything usually believes one terrifying thing. If I stop being useful, people leave. Here's how this plays out in adult life, and I want you to watch for this carefully, in yourself or in someone you love. They work harder when they're overwhelmed instead of resting. Because stillness is dangerous. Because when the doing stops, all the feelings they've been managing have nowhere to go. And feelings, for this person, are not safe. Doing is safe. Feeling is exposure. They give extraordinary advice to everyone around them and cannot apply any of it to themselves. They can diagnose your relationship patterns with surgical precision. They see exactly what you need. But ask them, just ask them, what do you need right now? And watch what happens. There's a pause, a kind of blankness, a confused half-smile. Not because they're incapable, because that question was never meant for them. Their entire psychological operating system was built around answering it for other people. And here's the detail that makes this so complicated. They're often genuinely good at what they do. The capability is real. The calm is real. The problem-solving is real. This is not a performance. But the anxiety underneath it is also real. And when helping is driven by that anxiety, when fixing things is how you regulate your nervous system rather than how you express your love, it costs something. Every time. In ways that compound quietly over years until one day you wake up exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix, and you don't know why. Now here's where it gets interesting and maybe uncomfortable. You might be thinking, but I genuinely want to help people. This isn't trauma. I just care. And here's my honest answer. Both things can be true. But I want you to ask a question. When you help someone, when you fix something, solve something, hold something together, notice what happens in your body right after. Is there a sense of genuine joy, warmth, connection? Or is there relief? Because joy and relief feel similar, but they come from completely different places. Joy comes from fullness. Relief comes from escaping a threat. If what you feel after helping someone is primarily relief, thank God, they still need me. Thank God I was useful. Thank God I didn't let anyone down. Then your helping is not just love. It's also armor. And armor is exhausting to wear every single day for your entire life. Here's the reframe I want to offer, not as a solution, but as a way of seeing. The question is not whether you're capable. The question is whether your capability is a gift you're giving freely or a wound you're quietly managing. Because both look identical from the outside. The difference lives entirely on the inside. The person helping from fullness chooses to show up. They can also choose not to. They can say, I don't have the capacity for this right now, without their identity cracking. They can sit in a room where everything is fine and feel fine. The person helping from fear cannot stop. Saying no feels like danger. Resting feels like failure. A calm moment feels like something they don't deserve or a trap they're about to fall into. One is a person living their values. The other is a person running from an old terror that never got a name. Both look, from the outside, like someone who really has it together. So, if this is landing somewhere real inside you, here's where to start. Not a list of tasks, just a few honest places to look. The next time something goes wrong around you, pause before you move. Not for long. 2 seconds. Notice the pull in your body, the urgency, the need to step in, the slight panic if you imagine not fixing it. That sensation is not a command. It's information. You're allowed to feel it without following it every single time. Try asking yourself, is this mine to fix? Not rhetorically, genuinely. Because people who grew up managing everyone else's emotional environment often have no internal sense of where their responsibility ends. Everything feels like theirs. Everything feels like a potential crisis they're one step away from preventing. Learning to ask that question, calmly, without judgment, is one of the most disorienting and important things you can do. And the hardest one, practice being known without being useful. Let someone sit with you when you're not okay. Not to fix it, just to see it, just to stay. Because if you've built your entire relational identity around being the capable one, the strong one, the problem solver, the one who never needs anything, you've accidentally made genuine intimacy almost impossible. People can admire you. They can depend on you. But they cannot know you. And somewhere in you, you already feel that loneliness. You just don't have words for it yet. You are not a function. You are not a support system with a face. You are not here to be endlessly useful to a world that mistakes your management of pain for evidence that you're fine. The capability is real. The strength is real. But so is the cost. And here's the thing about people who know how to fix everything. The last thing they ever learn to fix is themselves. Not because they can't, but because for most of their lives, no one ever told them that was allowed. You're allowed. Not to fall apart. Not to abandon the people you love. Just to put down weight sometimes. To be a person instead of a solution. To let someone ask you, are you okay? And answer honestly, maybe for the first time. That's not weakness. That's the bravest thing someone like you could do. If something in this video hit you somewhere you weren't expecting, leave one word in the comments. Just one. Whatever came up. Because sometimes the most important thing is just letting it be seen. And if you want to keep going deeper into the psychology of why we are the way we are subscribed, there's a lot more where this came from. I'll see you in the next one.